Hi everybody, happy Tuesday. It's Audrey. Thanks for joining me for day 17 of the Summer Scrapping Series. Today my special guest is Leah from Scrapbooking, and she also hosts a couple other Facebook groups, and she does a lot on her YouTube channel and on social media, so please go check out all of her links below. So I am doing a page about a trip to the zoo last summer. And I know the zoo may not necessarily be a summer themed page, and I was debating whether or not to do this particular page for this series, but I decided to go ahead with it because it's something that we did in the summer. So I went through a whole bunch of collections and pulled out all of these zoo animals. A lot of them are from Amy Tan, there's a couple Maggie Holmes, but random animals that I would never use on any other page except if it were about a zoo. So I'm going to try to use them all up. I wanted to incorporate some of these leaves into my zoo animals when I have them laid out on the page. So this die set is from Waffle Flower, and I'm also cutting out a few leaf shapes from my silhouette with a cut file from Paper Issues store. So I have a piece of craft foam on my Big Shot there because I don't know if it's just these dies, but I have an issue with them making clean cuts all the way through. So I have to add something else, some other little shim to help them cut completely through the paper. So I'm not sure if it's my Big Shot or what's going on, but anyway, I had to add a little bit extra there. And the leaves I just pulled from my craft mat from my silhouette were, like I said, from the Paper Issues store. So I have printed up some photos from the zoo, and I went ahead and arranged them in Photoshop in a grid-like pattern that I thought would be good for my page. And I was debating on whether or not to cut each picture out and then move them around on the page, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to leave it like this because it's easier. There's a lot of photos. I'm going to be using a lot of leaves here. I'm just going to have too many little bits, so I'm going to keep the photos kind of intact as one big sheet of photos. I also fussy cut out a few more leaves from this piece of pattern paper. By the way, most of the pattern papers I'm using today are from Amy Tan's new collection called Hustle and Heart. It is very bright and very bold, and there are lots of different fun patterns in it, and I absolutely love it. And you could do so many different things. I noticed there's a lot of maybe school and office icons in it, so I'm definitely going to be using it for a couple back to school pages as well. So my design idea here is to kind of tuck in all of these random animals into a whole bunch of leaves and cluster those on one side of the page, and then have all of my photos and journaling and title on the other side of the page. So I found this little peacock. This is from a Maggie Holmes collection, I believe, and the giraffe and the tiger and the zebra are all from Amy Tan ones. And I did have a bear. And there was a bear in a crepe paper collection in Maggie Holmes' Gather collection, but I used it on a page already. So I went through and I found a bear from a new Echo Park collection in one of their camping ones. So I'm going to pull that out here in a minute too. So this is how I'm going to do my page. Tuck these animals in, all these leaves, make all these leaves, part of the background. I love how that looks, and I love these tropical leaves. There's the bear I was talking about. And it's really fun. The only thing that's bothering me right now, and I will come back and take care of this later, is that the bear and the peacock and the tiger do not have a white outline around them, and the giraffe and the zebra do have the white outline around them, and that really bugs me. So I'm going to come back and take care of that. I also found a flamingo sticker that was from I think that's from the crepe paper Oasis collection. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's from Oasis. And I had other flamingo stickers, but I wanted a flamingo sticker that looked to the left so that it was kind of overlapping my photos and looking in that direction. I was not quite sure what I was going to do with the background, but with the leaves on the white, I didn't like all the white showing through, and I didn't really want to look for pattern paper to go behind there, so I thought, you know what, maybe I'll just use a whole bunch of green mists and kind of just darken up this one side of the page. So I took some painter's tape so that I could get a nice clean line, and I put that down the page, and I'm covering up the other side with just a craft mat. I do get a little bit underneath the craft mat because I didn't have it pressed down all the way. And I just went through with a whole bunch of different mists, and there's, oh my gosh, there's Studio Calico mists, there's some Maya Road mists I'm using, so I was just using a whole bunch of different greens. And I kind of like how that came out. And you won't really see, the splotchiness of this too much anyway, because the leaves are going to be covering it up. My only issue here was that the right edge, I didn't cover that right edge very well with mist, so I'll come back and take care of that too. I hemmed and hawed about what paper to back my photo with if I was going to even mat it at all, but it definitely needed a border because I had cut out a white border around the edge of the photos, so I needed to have something to contrast that against the white background. And I would never, ever in a million years use this tiger piece of pattern paper unless it was on a zoo page, so I'm using it. And I like the pink and the orange, and I really think it's going to pick up nice on the animals stuck in the leaves. So you saw there I just went through with some distress ink and a little applicator and just went along the edges of my page there with some green ink to kind of fill in the gaps there. I wasn't going to make you watch me put all those leaves and animals back on because, it took me a while to arrange them, but I did put them all back on. And then this is when I decided, especially against the dark green background now, that these animals needed to be cut out. And that looks so much better without the white border for that giraffe. I end up going back and cutting the white border off the zebra. And then the flamingo, I just leave the white border on because it's over the photo anyway, and the photos have a white border, and I didn't think it was really as drastic of a contrast as the giraffe and the zebra were. So this is really, really heavy on the right, obviously. So I definitely need to have something over on the left to draw your eye across the page. And I'm going to put a little cluster over there. And then my next thought was to center a title on the top and then my journaling on the bottom. But I decided against centering my title on the top and kind of going to go over to the right edge, top edge of my photo cluster here. I just felt having it centered was too, I don't know, I don't want to say symmetrical because it wasn't symmetrical, but I think it balances better when you have them offset a little bit. So I'm going to put the title up on that little banner and then make a cluster all the way over to the left to help draw your eye across the page. So I went through and you saw me there add in those little cork circle shapes. Those are from Jelly Bean Soup, and I just recently used those on another page as well. And I love what the cork adds to the page, kind of another natural element going along with the leaves and the animals. And then I found these thickers. Well, they're not thickers, they're just not American Crafts brand, but some other alphas, and I liked that they were kind of a wood grain too. But when I put them on the pink banner at the top, they didn't stand out very well. They didn't contrast enough. So I went back and I chose a blue banner, and now I think that the letters stand off much better from the page than they did when they were on a pink banner. I used pink because I was trying to pick up on the pink and the flamingo, but the blue is definitely better. So I hadn't really glued anything down, so I'm going to go through now and start gluing. I just added a little bit of glue behind my photo and the tiger paper behind it because I know I'm going to machine stitch over it. I wanted to add a little bit of interest in those lines over there where the white borders around the photos, so I'm going to stitch among those. And I'm just going to go through here and start gluing all these leaves and little bits down. So basically what I do is I glue the big leaves down first in the background, and you can see I'm working my way down the page, and I add some foam squares behind each animal to make that stand up a little bit more. And I'm not worried about the leaves overlapping the animals in different parts because, you get the idea with all the animals. You can see most of the animal. And I also have the leaves overlapping the photos a little bit, but not too much because some of the, especially the top right and the bottom right photo, both of my kids are all the way over to the right in the photos, so I didn't want to cover those up too much because I wanted, I still wanted the focus to be on the photos. I say that to have the focus on the photos, but this is such a busy page. This is so completely different for me, but I wanted to use up these animals so bad, and I don't usually scrap this many photos, but we had a lot of photos from the day. I don't usually do a big design element on the page like this, and just have this one huge element design section and then a whole group of photos. So very different from me, but I like doing different things because I get bored doing the same thing over and over again. So it's fun to try new stuff, and I'm really happy with the way that this came out. This was last summer, and it was me trying to cram in. It was like the week before school started, and you realize at the end of August, like, oh my gosh, I've only got like 2 or 3 weeks before school starts. And I'm a teacher, so I actually go back before my kids do. And so I was trying to cram in all the summer activities that I had planned on doing, this summer, and we only have 2 weeks left. So we did the zoo, we did the state fair, we did movies, we went to the splash pad, like all in like 2 weeks. So it was a busy 2 weeks, but we had a great time at this wild center, which is one of the 2 kind of zoos in our area. It's not really, they don't call it this particular one a zoo, they call it a wildlife, not a rehabilitation center, but rescue center or something. I don't know. It's technically not a zoo. I don't know what the difference is, but whatever. It's a really cool place. So I did have to go back through, and I cut out 2 more leaves from my silhouette. Again, that cut file is from the Paper Issues store, and I clustered those over to the left there. And then I was going through and I wanted to bring in a little bit more color amongst the leaves, and I had pulled out this sticker pack from Amy Tan on a whim, and they're transparent stickers. And I love the way that they look when I overlap them over the photos and kind of under the title up there, and when they overlapped each other, because they kind of create a different color. So those were really pretty. And what did I do? Okay, and so then I went through and I stitched, and I just did a simple straight line stitch on all the borders, and nothing too messy. And it's hard to tell, but it's kind of like a mustardy green color thread. I'm going to glue those letters down because they do not stay at all without the help of some glue. And add my leaves, and again I brought another cork circle all the way over to the left, and you can see I have a cork circle stuck up underneath the bear's back paw and then over in front of the giraffe, so that kind of creates my visual triangle with the cork there. And I went through and found some phrase stickers. How about those Cosmo Cricket ones there over to the left? Those are ancient, like probably 8, 9, 10 years old maybe. Those ones are pretty old. So just added a couple of those to photos, and going to add my journaling down here at the bottom. So I drew lines with journaling. By the way, my journaling pens, I use these Micron pens, and I buy the variety pack that has the different size tips. And I like using the .005 tip, the thinnest one, for drawing lines. And then I use usually a 1 or a 2 for journaling. And if I want thicker lines, I use a 3, a 5, or an 8. So as I was writing my journaling, I realized that I definitely had to add something else on the bottom here with my journaling, because the writing by itself just looked kind of plain. So I want to add a little something down there. And I needed to add one more line. It kind of looks a little crooked now that I'm looking at it from here, but I guess it's not too bad. Maybe it's the edge of the paper mat, the paper I use to mat my photo, but that's a little crooked. Anyway, so I'm like, I wonder how these transparent stickers would look right over my journaling, and you can still read the journaling through them, and I thought that was so cool. So I'm definitely going to be using some more transparent stickers right over my journaling on other pages, because that's pretty cool. You can see it right through there. I wanted to bring in a few little more bits of orange, so I found some orange enamel dots, and I'm just going to tuck them in the leaves, kind of hiding them there, and I add some to the clusters around my photo, and I picked up on the orange and the tiger. And there's a lot of orange, there are a lot of orange tones in the photo as well, I think from the wood that's used, the stain on the wood in a lot of the photos there. And I wanted really, really tiny orange drops, and I didn't have enamel dots, so I broke out these Nuvo drops, which I very rarely use, which I need to use more often, and I added a few orange drops here and there, and that about does it. So there is the finished page. Yay, I used up all those animals! Can you believe it? So there's a great way for you to use up all those animals, and try adding the transparent stickers over some journaling. That's really fun. And I love all these tropical leaf shapes. It's very jungle has a very big jungle vibe to it. So I love this page. Really different and really fun, and it's a perfect zoo page, I think. So thank you so much for joining me for day 17. 4 more days left for the week. Hope you're having a great week. Thanks so much, and stay scrappy, friends.